Scrolling through my Tumblr dash always make me pick up a million hobbies. Crafting, drawing, writing, you name it. I've tried my hand at a bunch of them through the years, but the one that stuck the most is cocktail making. I love it. I love learning all about different spirits, different ways flavors balance each other, and trying new recipes. But investing in a million different ingredients when I'm not sure if I'll like a new cocktail is risky. Which is why I love Shaker and Spoon, a subscription cocktail service that helps you learn how to make handcrafted cocktails right at home. Every box comes with enough ingredients to make 3 different cocktail recipes developed by world-class mixologists. All you need to do is buy 1 bottle of that month's spirit, and you have all you need to make 12 drinks at home. At just $40 to $50 per month, plus the cost of the bottle, this is a super cost-effective way to enjoy craft cocktails. And you can skip or cancel boxes at any time. So invite some friends over, class up your nightcaps, or be the best house guest of all time with your Shaker and Spoon box. Get $20 off your first box at shakerandspoon.com/diaries. Hello, my little internet arachnids. I'm Lauren Shippen, professional writer who is actually really scared of spiders, so that's the last time I'm going to make a spider joke about web weaving.
And I am Cher McAnelly, head of entertainment at Tumblr, and person who saves the spiders in my apartment. So, Lauren, if you ever need any spider saving, I've got you.
I appreciate that. And this is Dashboard Diaries, a podcast for you, the folks who are in this internet bunker with us. We talk about what's going on our favorite hell site, get into what we like to call tumble lore, do fandom deep dives, and share the times when we've gone feral over a new ship. And we are back after taking July off because both Cher and I were traveling and just taking a little bit of vacation to touch grass. And boy, have we come back to a situation.
Yeah, indeed we have, Lauren. Some things are afoot.
Some things are afoot. So if you listen to this podcast, or if you just are a person who consumes any entertainment news, you'll be aware of the fact that the WJ has been striking for many months. And, so far, that has not really affected the way that we do this podcast because the WJ is not calling for any kind of boycott because, we still want writers to get residuals and all of that kind of stuff. And so we've been talking freely about TV and film on this podcast for the duration of the strike. However... SAG, the Screen Actors Guild, is now on strike as well. And I am a SAG-AFTRA member. And as a SAG-AFTRA member, I am not allowed to talk about any SAG TV film projects, present, past, or future. The rules are around, you're not allowed to go out and promote your own work. I'm obviously not starring in any TV or film. They also want to make sure that influencers aren't being paid by the big studios to scab and promote, whatever big film or TV show of the moment. So kind of in that spirit, I, checked with Cher, and we're going to, until the SAG strike is complete, not talk about any TV or film, which...
We are not.
Or I should say any TV or film made by struck companies. For instance, SAG has already given contracts to A24. So because A24 is an indie studio that is hell yes, we'll adhere to the things that you want because we're cool and good. And so if we want to talk about any A24 movies, I think we totally can.
Well, one just came out on Friday. So,
oh, really? Wait, which movie?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, it's the one with the hand. Wait, hands off. Wait, it's a horror movie. Let's cut this and I'll get the actual name. It's called Talk to Me. The movie is called Talk to Me, which I knew the name of off the top of my head. And everyone's watching Past Lives right now too.
Is that another A24 movie?
Yeah, apparently it's great. Apparently it's very beautiful. My friend saw it and she said it made her rethink her perspective on the world. So
whoa,
I have yet to see it because I'm every time I consider seeing it, I'm I feel like I need to be in a very specific headspace for this.
Yeah,
but let's dive into A24. Yeah, we can do an A24 episode.
Do a whole film festival of A24 films. So obviously a lot of stuff has happened on Tumblr in the month that we've been gone that has been around TV or film. We're not going to talk about any of those things. But Cher, one thing I would like to ask you as the person who's head of entertainment at Tumblr and spends a lot of time talking to actors about the work that they're doing, how has this changed your job, if you can speak to that at all?
It has changed my job quite dramatically, for sure. It's been an adjustment. So obviously the moment the strike happened, all future interviews, everything we had was canceled or changed, or the campaign was changed. For content that we had 3 interviews that we'd recorded before the strike happened. Those are still going live with a watermark of the date that they were recorded. Yeah. Most recently, we had ND Stevenson's Answer Time around go live last week. So that's kind of what we've been doing. So like the content we have, we're going to, you know, finish out the stuff. Like it's going to go live on those partner accounts. But I honestly, I don't know. Yeah. It's total. I very much am like, I don't want to say like at a loss for words, but it is, I've been trying to figure out, you know, what is the best avenue? Like what's the best way to kind of approach my job, which is like, I say it's head of entertainment, but my job is specifically TV and film. That is the focus of pretty much everything that I do. Yeah. And obviously that's not really something I can do at the moment. Right. So one thing that we're doing is planning far ahead. So for things that, you know, once production starts up again, we're kind of doing a lot of like planning and like strategy and all that kind of stuff, which is, you know, it's important. Everyone loves planning and no one loves planning and strategy. Someone might. Some people do. I don't. I like, you know, doing interviews. And fun little campaigns. So I don't know. We shall see. There's a lot of musicians I'd like to interview. So yeah, there you go. Yeah.
and you know, video games, podcasts. You know, I think that there's like a whole, like a lot of stuff Broadway. That like might be Broadway stuff that like might be on the internet, like YouTubers and things like that like is not technically, you know, TV or film. It's such a weird thing, right? Because it's like SAG is also not calling for a boycott of anything. Like to be totally, you know, to be 1000% clear to you, the listener, about like the best way you can support these strikes, like not watching stuff or canceling your Netflix subscription or whatever it is like not what we want, because we want to show these places that we are valuable to them and that people want the content. Yeah. And we want people to get the, you know, little residuals that are being paid out from people watching things. But for SAG specifically, it's kind of a strange thing because part of actors' labor, a huge part of actors' labor now, with the internet being what it is and with press junkets being what they are, is promoting work as like part of their contract for these massive studios that like are paying them for the press junkets, but like probably not to the extent that they actually should be. And so we're playing it safe. We're standing in solidarity. Yeah. I know that I'm still watching all of these things, and on my private Tumblr I'm still reblogging gift sets like nobody's business, but as like a, you know, public figure on the internet, and you know, not wanting my SAG card to be snatched away from me. Yeah, definitely not. That's where we are. And so yeah, we're going to have this fun challenge of sort of talking about our weeks on Tumblr, you know, without talking about what we're watching. I'm realizing I literally said the name of a movie. No, it's fine. I think it's really funny if we bleep these things out. Yes. That's my plan. I love that. Oh my gosh. So yeah, because I know I'm going to slip too, probably, right? But so we're doing kind of like a niche sort of Tumblr specific thing as our main topic today. And we want to make a call to you, our Tumblr aficionados, to please let us know about what like niche Tumblr fandoms, Tumblr drama, Tumblr ephemera that is unrelated to TV and film or stuff made by big companies. And we will talk about it on the show, because I think we're going to have to really dig in the archives of weird stuff that's happened on Tumblr, which I think is really, really fun. Yeah, I agree. Speaking of digging into weird archive, do you have a dashboard confessional for us this week, Cher? Indeed, I do, Lauren. I have a fun little post from August 8th, 2015. It is a text post from Rose Salts. And it says, "When the moon hits your eye like a big pizza pie, Macklemore." That's so good. Which is, short, sweet, to the point. I love it. What about you, Lauren? I have got also a funny little post from exactly 8 years ago, July 31st, 2015. We're currently recording this on July 31st. It is an extension of what at the time was a very popular Vine that was going around, which is this like 80s exercise video with like incredibly enthusiastic dancers set to Fall Out Boy's Uma Thurman. And for whatever reason, it just like makes me cackle every single time I hear it. It's definitely a video that, you know, when you go and look at it, you have to put the sound on. It's something else. I don't know. It brings me joy.
Well, I'm going to have to put the sound on right now, Lauren, I think.
Please do.
So please hold. Yeah,
it's good,
this
right?
is very good.
Yeah. I just think it's very joyful.
It's just, that's the perfect way to put it. It's just, they're just having the time of their lives. Good for them. The 80s seemed great.
For today, we are going to dive into something that is really a Tumblr-specific phenomenon. Mm-hmm. Cher, what do you know about web weaving?
Honestly, it's pretty new to me. I have heard the term before, but I've never really taken a look into the web weaving community. From what I understand, it's taking, pieces of different media from different sources, like text, images, videos, whatever it may be, and kind of putting them together in a way that is cohesive or tells a story, even if they're from kind of different spaces or different types of media, which is obviously very perfect for Tumblr and our kind of fluid post type situation we have going. But where am I on accuracy there?
I think you nailed it. That is essentially what it is. So yeah, I first encountered this thing a couple of years ago. I started to see a lot of posts on my dash. I don't know if you had this experience too, but being in at least being, having a foot in sort of what I consider fandoms that are kind of based around angsty sad boys. Mm-hmm. We know what we're talking about when we say that, right? This sort of caught on in those spheres very quickly, which is, you take art, screenshots of song lyrics, screenshots of poems, et cetera, et cetera. You sort of put them all together into a kind of Tumblr collage, right? Because you can move photos around in a photo set on Tumblr and you kind of order them together. And it sort of speaks to a theme, right? And I also saw some people commenting on it of I'm really liking this new trend of people just putting together posts that are just vibes. Mm-hmm. And then at some point I did see the term web weaving ascribed to it. The oldest sort of web weaving tag on a post that I could find was in 2019. And then the term web weaving got added to Urban Dictionary in December of 2022. So this is a fairly recent phenomenon. Is it something that crossed your dash organically?
It definitely is. I didn't have a name for it, but it's definitely something that I actually consider one of kind of the key tenets of the way that people use Tumblr is to kind of create their own art, kind of using the existing art and IP, whatever that may be, and I often see, gift sets or photo sets of, frames from, let's say and frames from, I don't know, which they could not be more different as shows go. I don't know why those are the two that came to mind when, once again, no one will know how different these shows are because we're going to bleep them out. So frames from Bleep and Bleep.
So you can just imagine whatever you want.
And put them together and a way that's these are kind of similar circumstances or cinematography, whatever it is. And I've seen a lot, especially with poetry, where people put, gift sets of, often a ship, often with a poem that is real sad, real emotional. Yeah, it's definitely a sad girl, sad boy, sad person side of Tumblr. And there are some I've seen some funny ones too, but I would say it really is more of a melancholy trend.
Yeah, it seems to be, I totally agree with that. It seems to be a thing done in earnest, which I think is something that Tumblr does exceptionally well compared to other spaces on the internet, right? I think that Tumblr, of course, has its shit posts and its memes and its sense of irony, but also when people are enthusiastic about something or really love something or are saying something from the heart, Tumblr's not afraid of being earnest, which I really appreciate. And yeah, it's interesting too because you mentioned sort of seeing, frames from two different TV shows, maybe compared with each other and all of that kind of stuff. And actually more frequently, I see web weaving sets that have absolutely no image from a TV show or a movie or a video game or whatever, but just have like art and poetry, like fine art and things like that, like paintings, and then maybe are like ascribed to a particular character, a particular work, or just like a particular feeling or trope or dynamic that then like the person tags with the characters that they feel fit that. And I think that that's so interesting because I think that, you know, I don't know, when it first started crossing my dash, I sort of had this moment of like, damn, like people on Tumblr are like really into stuff that I know nothing about. Like they're really into like these painters I've never heard of and these poets I've never heard of. And like sort of the depth of knowledge around, you know, fine art and poetry and literature that Tumblr has that like doesn't get trotted out in the same way in fandom as it does in like web weaving posts is just really remarkable to me. Like, I don't know. I feel like I've discovered a lot of really great poets and poetry through someone just like screenshotting a part of a poem and throwing it into a web weaving post.
Yeah. I completely see what you mean there, because as I'm like, I have the web weaving page open and I just like had it open. And like, I was kind of like, when you said this, I started scrolling more because I noticed I picked out the ones that were TV and film because those just are what immediately kind of I see. But as I'm scrolling now, I'm realizing it's like for every 20th post or so has something from, you know, like a movie or a show or something along those lines. And yeah, it is very like art. You know, look, Tumblr is the artsy kid platform, you know, like it definitely is. I feel like the I don't know. I don't even know why I'm bringing this up or if it's relevant at all, but it reminded me of this. I had a sculpture teacher in high school named Miss Wolf.
You took sculpture in high school?
I did, yeah. We had an art requirement.
That's so cool.
And it was, we had like a cool lab, or not lab, studio, excuse me. And I feel like, I don't know, Tumblr, the experience of being in that sculpture class, and she's just like a huge hippie. She's an artist herself, obviously, and she would like when you would graduate, she would invite her favorite students over to her house and have like an art show, and like it was very
nice.
She had 100 acres upstate in California where she would take a class, and like we did a like weekend like intensive up in the wilderness. I don't know.
Oh my god.
I don't know, like complete tangent, but the experience of that class feels like Tumblr very much, where it's just like a whole bunch of people kind of creating their own stuff, figuring it out, discovery. I do think web weaving, like I was immediately like, this feels like an internet collage kind of, you know?
Yeah.
It's just another art form.
I love that. It is. It's its own, it is its own art form. And I've seen people call them collages or compilations or saying, you know, like starting a collection. And yeah, just like opening up the web weaving tag and seeing some of the things that people are making web weaves about, you know, grieving the person you used to be as a concept, right? Female rage is, you know, a great one. Oh yeah, here's something a film we can talk about. There are, of course, Goncharov web weaving posts.
Oh my, of course.
Goncharov, a film we can talk about because it doesn't exist.
A classic.
And the Goncharov webbing posts are like, we'll reblog them, obviously. They're good. They're like really interesting. And I love that. Like it feels, and I think that actually like there being Goncharov web weaving posts, I think sort of speaks to where web weaving fits into the sort of Tumblr ecosystem, which is that it does feel kind of like this collective, I don't know, it's like collective thematic action that like we're sort of all doing together. And there's something really lovely about that.
Tumblr's like a constant group project where everyone's participating.
Yes. I love that. That's so true.
Like that's the next trend or whatever is the new assignment, new project, whatever we're working on. It's like, all right, it's Goncharov. Let's get to work.
Let's
you know,
do it. Who's group leader? Who's taking notes? Who is doing the art?
Yeah, who's creating the heritage posts? Like,
yeah, exactly. And there's no rules or limits really, right? Like I've seen webbing posts with 2 images. I've seen ones with, you know, that hit the Tumblr image limit. And you can do all images, you can do all words, you can do images and words. I don't know, it's just I'm a very, very big fan of it.
Yeah.
And I want to ask you if you had to make a web weaving post on a particular theme or idea or feeling, what would you do?
That's a great question, Lauren. Honestly, getting deep here. But I have ADHD, and I'm a constant disaster because of it. Like I have like 17 to-do lists, like a million tabs open. Like I am running like I get up from my desk and I should sit back down 30 minutes later, having not gotten what I was supposed to get, but having, scrubbed the floors. I feel like I would do like a post about like what it feels like to have ADHD. Ooh. Like some kind of, and it definitely would hit the image limit.
I love that, and I think that that's something that like a lot of people on Tumblr would really resonate with.
Maybe I'll make it.
Yeah, please make one. And if you out there also experience ADHD and have made one expressing what it is like for you, like please send it to us.
Yeah.
Because that would be really interesting to see.
Yeah, I agree. I wonder if there are any already. I'm sure there are. I'll have to look into it.
There might be. Yeah. I mean, there's probably a web weave for everything. I think what's tricky is that not everybody calls them web weaving, and so it's like it can be hard to find this like particular genre of post. Like the only reason I'm calling it web weaving is because like we have to call it something, right?
And so not everyone's tagging it with this. I did search web weaving ADHD, and there seems to be quite a few posts tagged with both of those things. So
okay,
we'll have to check those out.
Go down that rabbit hole.
And because there's the other thing that I was thinking about while we were talking about web weaving. One of my favorite, I don't know, types of post on Tumblr or like genres of post is when people will get like kind of viral text posts or funny text posts and put them over like a frame or moment or GIF from like, a show or something.
Yes.
And they're generally funny. Like this is like the ones that like, they're not always, they definitely like, they run the gamut, but the ones that I love are like the really like funny, like comedy ones. And I wonder if that its own thing. Is that web weaving?
Ooh, I have seen like, I know exactly what you're describing, because sometimes people will also do it with like tweets or with like incorrect quotes, like blogs, right, over the frames from the TV shows.
Characters as like, quote post or whatever it is.
Right, exactly. And I think that when I see those, when it's specifically like, here's a GIF set or a photo set with this overlay of like, other text posts or things like that, I've seen those referred to like as like text posts or X show in text posts or whatever. But I do think that it's like the same kind of web weaving feeling. And I think too, you call out one of the things that I love about Tumblr, which is that like someone will post like just normal text post, right? Like they'll just write a sentence and it'll get out there and it will resonate. And eventually, someone will screenshot it and it will sort of become a thing that people use then in those TV text posts or in web weaving. Yeah. And there's one screenshot that I've been seeing a lot recently, because I don't know when it was posted, but it just like when the original text post was posted, but it just gets added to a lot of posts that are sort of this type. The text post is, I love how Tumblr users move around JPEGs like dolls. Or treat JPEGs like dolls.
That's so funny.
I don't know if you've seen this, but it gets added to so many posts because it's like someone will post something and then someone will like Photoshop that or like add something to it, and there will sort of be this group project collage in the reblogs, and then someone will add, I love how Tumblr users play with JPEGs like dolls. That's the
oh my gosh,
that's the phrase. And like I think that just like perfectly summarizes all of this stuff.
It really does. That is such a funny way to look at it. Oh my God, it really is true though.
It's so true. And it's like, and that in of itself, that text post has been screenshotted and used as a JPEG to then add to these posts.
So it too is now a doll.
Exactly.
Oh my God.
It's like the like, subtitle that goes over the dolls that you're playing with or whatever.
Yeah.
Or like it's the narration you're doing as you play with your dolls.
So meta. Only on Tumblr.
Only on Tumblr.
What a weird place on the internet. I love it so much.
Wouldn't change a thing.
Would not change it. No notes, but many notes because it's Tumblr. What web weaving post would you do, Lauren?
So I actually have made two web weaving posts. notes, which I'll be sure to reblog on my personal blog, or actually I'll reblog them to Dashboard Diaries too. But I've made them specifically, and I want to do more of them for my own stuff. So like I made one for Bridgewater, the show. As I was saying, I was like, yeah, no, I can talk about this because it's made by iHeart, and iHeart's not a TV company, even though Bridgewater is a SAG show. I did one for Bridgewater that's sort of like, horror themed. And then I'm writing a book right now called Desperate Hollow, and I did one for that's like sort of, like sad cowboys. And I included screenshots from like my own like manuscript, and that was really cool to kind of get to see people reacting to like my words. A little self promoting, but whatever. But it's, I've got all of this just like stuff always with anything I create. I've got Pinterest boards, I've got playlists, I've got poems that I've bookmarked that remind me of the thing, and so it was like nice to put them all together.
Yeah,
but I think if I was going to make one on a theme, I think that there's so many good like pieces of art and poetry about like, and people have done web weaves on this, of like the feeling of like you can never go home again, right? Of sort of like you can never sort of go back to your home.
Yeah,
like that theme. I think I would do, because I find that like very, I don't know, it like gives me a feeling I can't describe.
Yeah,
and I think that like that's what kind of what you were describing with like, yeah, how do you describe what it's like to have ADHD? It's like, well, you can't really in a way that someone else will understand. And so like, how do you put it into this like hieroglyphics?
Exactly. Oh my gosh, web weaving is hieroglyphics. Again, look, our metaphors today are on point.
On point.
We are crushing it. Because I was wondering like, mood, like is web weaving a form of mood board?
Interesting. I think it is a curated mood board.
Okay.
Like an extra curated mood board. And I think that this is something that, like, because when I think about like a mood board, or like making like a Pinterest board or whatever, I think of mood boards as being mostly visual, which is not necessarily true. Like there's nothing to say that they can't include text, but I also sort of think of like, okay, you're going to make a big collage, and it's going to be sort of this artistic collage of that's going to evoke a particular mood when you look at it, and that is sort of just like all encompassing, and it's not about the individual images, right? It's sort of about like the whole, right? It's the sum of its parts. Whereas I think of web weaving as like, because there is a photo limit on posts on Tumblr, and what is it, 30 images?
Yeah
and most people like don't use that. Like most people, it used to be 10, right? And so I feel like most people are just sort of in the habit of putting 10 photos, and that makes you kind of have to limit like what are sort of the 10 things that are going to evoke this the fastest. And also where a mood board is like both vertical and horizontal, it's like on both planes. Web weaving, you're just reading as you go, and so it's like you are sort of giving time to each individual.
Ooh, okay.
Am I overthinking this?
No, not at all. I am
this.
very much here with you, Lauren. I really see what I'm like. It
cool.
Like a light bulb moment. I totally see what you're talking about. Where a mood board you look at as one cohesive thing. Web weaving you look at as like a story, or kind of like the sum of its parts. Yeah. And it's funny because
I really can't think of anything else on the internet that like is similar to that, right? Like I did see that, I haven't explored this, but I did see that like web weaving exists in part on TikTok. It's called something else.
Yeah.
I forget what it's called.
Yeah, it's funny because I was catching up with Annie, who's an EP at Watcher, the other day, and she told me, like, I had no idea about this, and she showed me this TikTok trend because she was like, I'm deeply obsessed with it. Like, people are sharing, slideshows of their, like, nostalgic moments with, like, music in the background, and she was like, honestly, it just makes me think of Tumblr. Like, these just make me think so much of Tumblr, which is why she sent them to me. So when I saw that it also mentioned that, like, people are kind of doing that on TikTok, I checked out a couple of the slideshows. It's definitely very similar. It's funny because it's they added slideshows to TikTok, and it's interesting to see not video on there and like that
and
kind
have
of
to,
like
swipe through.
It's definitely an interesting experience. But I think there are two different but complementary ways to web weave.
Yeah. Because that also is like, you're sort of giving time to each image. Apparently, according to Urban Dictionary, I don't know how true this is, on TikTok, they're known as sad slideshows. Specifically.
Sad slideshows. Yep.
Sad
slideshows. You know what? I like how, first off, Tumblr's is like, web weaving. What could that be? I don't know. Yeah. And TikTok, it's like, it's a sad slideshow.
I feel like that perfectly encapsulates those two social networks. Like, you can just sort of jump into TikTok and like,
what's going on here.
Search things. You'll sort of know what's going on to an extent, but it's like, oh no, you want to figure out what web weaving is? Well, you have to dedicate time here. We're not going to make it,
Come on this journey with us.
Yeah, exactly. It's an invitation to explore.
Yeah. Oh, I like that.
And that's all I have to say about web weaving.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've got anything else.
No, I think we pretty much covered it. I think we wove our own web, Lauren.
We wove our own web. And if you weave webs, you web weavers, sorry, as I was saying that, I realized, like, is it supposed to be web, like the World Wide Web?
I think it's the both things.
I don't know why it took me so long to put that together. Anyway, I mean, we don't really call the internet the web anymore. It's like a very old-fashioned thing to do.
I still love doing that though. I'm surfing the web,
or like
right
the
now.
net.
Yeah.
If you web weavers have weaves that you've webbed, no, that's all right. If you web weavers have webs that you've weaved that you would like to share with us, dashboarddiaries.tumblr.com. Just go ahead and like submit them to them, or send us a link through. You can just message me at the laurenshippen.tumblr.com, that because you can't message a shared blog. So yeah, please do that. We want to see them.
So remember we were talking about the Days of the Week meme, or the Days of the Week meme earlier in one of our episodes? Web Weaving Wednesdays.
Web Weaving Wednesdays. Right? I love that. Yeah. Let's do that. All right, Web Weaving Wednesdays. Say that 100 times fast.
Wonderful Web Weaving Wednesdays
with wondrous
Weebles.
I don't know.
Yes.
Perfect. No.
Post that.
All right. Well, we love how much web weaving makes us feel. So I think it's the perfect time to go over to our Feels Corner, in which we talk about what's putting us in our feels right now. But this is going to be the first of many special editions where it can't be a TV show or a film made by a SAG-struck company.
So, what is putting us in our feels?
What's putting in your feels?
Well, look, I've heard that I need to go watch Past Lives because it's putting a lot of other people in their feels. So,
there you go.
That's someone else's Feels Corner. Could be ours soon. I'm trying to think what else.
Have you been continuing with the Name of the Wind series, and haven't you been reading that stuff, or Wheel of Time?
Oh, the Wheel of Time series. Yes, I am not reading Wheel of Time right now. I'm reading. I got distracted halfway through the second book. Can you tell I have ADHD? And am now reading Wool, which is the first book in the series.
Yeah.
And so I'm a little over halfway through Wool, and really, really, really enjoying it. It's a great read. Highly recommend, by Hugh Howey, and it's really, it's a great read, and a book that was a book first, so we can talk about it as a book.
Yeah, exactly. We can talk about the book. And it has a different title, too, which makes it even easier.
Exactly. What about you, Lauren? What has you in your feels?
So this past weekend, I re-listened to a podcast that had come out, maybe like a couple years ago now. But I had been talking about it with a friend, and I was like, oh, yeah, like, it's a great podcast. But I just hadn't listened to it in a while, and decided to just like listen to the whole first season sort of all at once. It's called Give Me Away. It's this like sci-fi fiction podcast about an alien spaceship that like comes to Earth, and the military opens it up and it's completely empty, and then they find out that like it's basically just like a computer with the consciousness of all of these prisoners from another planet. And so they decide to take volunteers to like take on a consciousness in your own body so that we can like free these prisoners. And it's so good. It's so good. Give Me Away. It's by the same people who did Steal the Stars, which is another podcast that I would highly, highly recommend. That's also like a sci-fi podcast, but also this like reverse noir where like the hard-boiled noir heroes, this female security officer, and the femme fatale is this younger guy, and there's aliens and there's sexy times, and it's fantastic.
Wow,
so that's my what's got me in my feels this week, because this is maybe silly, but like I don't really listen to fiction podcasts actually that much, because so often I'm listening to fiction podcasts for work and like, you know, reviewing cuts and, you know, giving notes and all that kind of stuff, that it's very hard for me to like turn off my brain.
Yeah,
and
I can
listen
imagine.
to stuff, which is why I sometimes re-listen to shows, right? And I don't know, it just like, it's been a while since I've like since a show had like really, really hooked me. And even though I knew where it was going, like, yeah, it still really got me, and it made me really excited to listen to more audio fiction, which is like a feeling that's like hard for me to like grab on its own without sort of having my producer brain on.
Yeah.
So that feels very good.
That sounds wonderful. I have to check it out. It also sounds very interesting to me. It reminds me kind of vaguely of The Host by Stephanie Meyer, the book she made after Twilight. Yeah.
Totally. I read that book.
Yep. I did not read the book. I watched the Bleep, which was not my favorite Bleep I've ever seen. But you know, I actually rewatched it recently. I was like, it came up and I was like, yeah, let me give this movie a watch. It has Saoirse Ronan in it, which is
whoa.
I know. She's like the lead. And I was like,
that's wild. Really?
Yeah. So I don't recommend a rewatch, but you know, unless you want to, you know, for people who haven't watched it. Have you watched it? I haven't seen it, but I did read the book when it came out, and I actually I liked it more than Twilight, to be totally honest. I like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was really like, it was a little bit long. I think sometimes like Stephanie Meyer like can
be a bit verbose.
Go on.
Yeah.
But like I think that actually she did like a good job with the action sequences, and I found the central character like a little bit more, or the central character is a little bit more likable than the central characters in Twilight. But I was never a big Twilight person to begin with. I read all 4 books, but by the 4th book I was sort of like, I am just a completionist. And
you're like, I have to see this through.
I have to see this through.
I don't know, have I talked on the deep obsession that I had with Twilight in high school? It was clinical.
No.
Oh my gosh, Lauren.
Okay, wait, Twilight the book specifically?
The books. I was
we are doing that. We are doing that as a topic.
Obsessed with the books. The sculpture class that I referenced, Lauren, it actually makes it even more relevant to web weaving, because every single sculpture I made for an entire year was Twilight inspired.
Oh my gosh.
And my parents still have them in my home.
I think we need to end this here, because we need to dedicate our next episode to this. And I want to give you time to call your parents and ask them to text you photos of all of these sculptures. We don't have to post them on the blog. I'm not going to put you on blast like that if you don't want, but I need to see them.
There's one that's really going to blow your socks off.
I cannot wait.
Oh my god.
All right, episode 26. Here we go. Twilight. We're doing it.
Honestly, I'm excited about it, because I could talk about this all day, and I am like, I would be embarrassed by how much of a fan I was, but I was having a great time with how much of a fan I was, and we embraced the cringe. But the thing is, you say this now, and then we'll have this episode, and you'll hear the links I went to, just for my like love of Twilight, and you may reconsider the judgment.
Okay, I changed my answer. This is what has me in my feels corner, because I don't think I've ever been so excited for something.
Oh my god, let's just record it tomorrow. Yeah.
Well, on that tantalizing teaser, I'm Lauren Shippen, and you can find me at theLaurenShippen.tumblr.com.
And I'm Cher McAnelly, and you can find me at overshares.tumblr.com. This has been Dashboard Diaries, and
may your anons always be loving,
your dash always refresh,
Your gifts always be loading.
And your ships always canon.
May the fix you're reading always be finished.
And the answers you seek always in the reblogs.
Thanks for scrolling with us.